All right, on to our subject for today, financial priorities as a new resident. Okay, they're a little bit different than what you're worrying about as a new attending. But as you're coming out of medical school, as you're starting your residency, it's July 22nd when this podcast is dropping. Lots of you started about a month ago, and now you're starting to get into the groove of going to work and being a doc every day. It's still frightening, right? But there are a few financial chores you do need to take care of during residency, and don't drop the ball on these. The first one is going and getting disability insurance in place. Unless you have some spouse or something that you're able to rely on if you get disabled, you need disability insurance. So go see one of our independent agents that we recommend on the White Coat Investor site and get this critical insurance in place. It's not that complicated. It's not that hard. It's a little expensive, I understand. But I assure you, residents get disabled all the time. Doctors get disabled all the time. You are not invincible. Bad things can happen. And if they do, you need some money to live on. And you're probably going to want more than Social Security is going to pay you. The way you get that is by buying disability insurance. They're probably only going to sell you a benefit of perhaps $5,000 a month, but that's still way, way better than nothing. Okay, also, if anybody else depends on you, now's the time to buy term life insurance, right? Same people that sell you disability insurance can usually sell you term life insurance. We got a few people that specialize in that also on our recommended page on the website. Term life is pretty cheap. You can get millions of dollars in coverage for only hundreds of dollars a year, especially if you are young and healthy when you buy it. So get some life insurance in place. Don't leave your family hanging if something happens to you. Yes, residents do die from time to time. I'm sorry to hear it, but it does happen. I think I added up the numbers once. It was a 2-figure number a year of residents that die in the United States, but residents do die. And you need to protect your family from that. Okay, the next thing is get a budget. You are no longer living on loans. You are now living off an income. You get a certain amount of money each month. If you're like most residents, it's totally predictable, right? Unless you're moonlighting or something, you know exactly how much you're getting each month. Makes it really easy to set up a budget. Make sure it's a budget you can live with. If you've never done a budget before, you might want to use some software like You Need a Budget software or Dave Ramsey's Every Dollar software, or you can just do it with a pencil on a piece of paper, or you can use Excel spreadsheets like Katie and I have done for the last 22 years. However works for you, but basically you need to give every dollar a name. Okay, if you got $4,000 coming in, you need to write down how much is going to taxes, how much is going to your health insurance, how much is going toward, your rent, how much is going toward groceries, and all that stuff. If you have no idea what to put in each category, look at what you spent last month. Go back and look at the bank account records, the credit card records, whatever, and your receipts, and then adjust it as you go. It usually takes people about 6 months of making monthly budgets to really figure their budget out. And that's okay if you fail from time to time. But what you want to do is get used to knowing where your money is going. That is a very powerful thing, especially in the beginning of your financial life, because then once you know where it's going, you can decide if that is aligned with your priorities or not. And if it's not, you can start changing where your money's going and reach your financial goals that way. So start budgeting. Next priority for a resident is to invest something. You don't have to invest a lot, but I want you to get in the habit of investing something each month. I don't care if it's $100 into a Roth IRA. Invest something every month and get used to how mutual funds work and how retirement accounts work and how you put in buy and sell orders. So as you start making the big bucks in a few years, this will all be something you've already got years of experience with. In fact, maybe the first thing you ought to look at is go look at your employer's offered retirement accounts. Go into the HR office and ask if residents are eligible for any retirement accounts, and actually read the documents they give you. Find out if there is a match. It might be if you put a couple grand into the residency 403B that you'll actually get paid a couple grand more. That's right. Part of your salary may be dependent on whether you save for retirement. So find out if there's a match offered and what it's going to take for you to get that. That is like the best investment return you can get, is to acquire the free money that you would otherwise be leaving on the table. As you get close to getting out of residency, start paying attention, right? Talk to the residents. When you're a PGY2, if it's a 3-year residency, talk to those PGY3s about where they got jobs, how much they're getting paid, right? What you're really worth. Figure out what you're worth. And then make sure you get your contract reviewed as you go into the interview process your last year of residency. Make sure you have a written plan in place by the end of residency. Know where your first 12 months of attending paychecks are going. I want a plan where you're living like a resident still, but where you really know where that money is going to go. Because that year is so critical in your financial life, that first year out of residency. You really want to have a plan in place for it. So get that in place. But mostly, remember that the point of residency is to learn how to be a good doc. It's not to try to get rich as a resident. Okay. If you're trying to get rich through some real estate scheme or some crazy options scheme, or you're trading Bitcoin as a resident, right? This is not the point. You will eventually build wealth as an attending. It is far easier to do so on an attending income than on a resident income. So don't deprive yourself so much that you're mad and you feel deprived, and your spouse is mad at you because you're not spending any money. It's okay to spend some money in residency. You don't have to save it all. I don't even tell residents they have to save 20% of their gross income like I tell attendings. But get in the habit of saving something and know where your money's going, and make sure you have those critical insurances in place. I hope that's helpful.
My dad, your host, Dr. Dolly, is a practicing emergency physician, blogger, author, and podcaster. He is not a licensed accountant, attorney, or financial advisor, so this podcast is for your entertainment and information only and should not be considered official, personalized financial advice.